Hey, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world, and welcome to ADRAMADA, another Dave Rush Ask Me Anything Digital Alchemy. And I'm so glad to be with you here this week. It's been a frightfully busy week, and there were challenges. The aftermath of the storms that rumbled through our neck of the woods last week is still being felt. We have power. I have not lost power here, except for a brief period during the storms. But internet is problematic all over the place. So, words of warning: if we lose the net here, we lose the net. I'm not going to try and recover. If OBS crashes, that just takes about a minute. So, um, if I go offline for whatever reason and I'm off for more than 5 minutes, presume that I'm not coming back. I wasn't going to do a show topic because of that reason. And then I said, well, you know what? I found a nice little topic that we could shoehorn in. And it's actually kind of fun. It's kind of interesting. So I made a little more news than usual, thinking, okay, this was just going to be a news show. But hey, well, here we are. If you are not watching this live, this show was recorded live and in person on May 23rd at 7 p.m. Central Time, where it is bright and sunny and lovely outside for a change. This is ADRAMADA. I am the aforementioned Dave Rush, also self-titled and the eponymous Commodore ADRAMADA, making you the proud the ADRAMADA Armada. So we get together once a week and we talk tech, and we range all over the place. We've got a hard focus on computers and IT and things like that, but we can do just about anything. I love space news and information and tech. I had reason this week to open up my very limited medical knowledge chops, and I'll share that with you briefly. We like music, we like Raspberry Pis, we like politics, we don't like COVID. So, eat, op, orc, ah, ah. Usual announcements. ADRAMADA has a Discord home. If you are not presently a member and you just want to get together and talk tech, if you want to talk to me or talk to any of our other many regulars there, by all means, there's an invite that I have just posted in the chat feed. If you want to contact me by email for some insane reason, there's a couple email addresses. Jason's here. Oh, wonderful news. Give me a second here. I am also on the current big media platforms. I'm not doing a lot of stuff on there, but I'm having a little bit of fun. We do show announcements and things like that on X, but I also stretch my wings and do non sequiturs. Most of them I repeat on the Discord server, but check it out. Follow me. Get your friends to follow me. I am not trying to monetize it. It's just a bit of fun and a way to communicate a little bit about the show. All right, well, let's see who's here and what you guys are doing, what you're talking about. Shia came in not long after I posted the show. And after I posted the show, excuse me, got a hangnail there. About a half an hour ago, I changed the show graphic and a little bit of the show explanation. So if you refresh next time you come into it, you'll see it's got a show title and some things like that. Tolo comes in about a half an hour before showtime. 10 minutes shy, checks in again. Good evening, counting down to live. So I'm going to talk about CPUs today and a particular aspect of them, a thing called AWX. So that was why I picked the quote of the day, something computer oriented. Shia Moonstone says, doesn't have to be kick it. Yeah, I can speak today. Hardware doesn't have to be kicked, it could be hammered. Or the kicker could be hammered. A little echoey. Should have looked at that earlier. What can I do about that? Nothing. Suffer. And I'm not going to mess with things right now. I may have two mics going at the same time. Jason, so glad to see you're here. We have all been thinking about you, keeping in our thoughts and prayers, and a little extra effort for tomorrow. Hope that all goes well. Patricia Grace, hola, mi amiga. Yes, oh good. I'm glad it's lovely and nice where you are. Yeah, my missus is up in your, neck of the woods right now. Has been since Saturday. Will be till next Saturday. 2 weeks working here solo. And I love my missus to death. I love my missus too much because when she's here, I'm not nearly as productive as when she's away. I have been so productive for the last 4 days, 5 days. Yeah, and Tolwood, can I imagine that your weather is now calmed down? I didn't follow it after the reports of your storms. Good, 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 good. Jason L&D. All right. So let's do a little bit of what we do. So last week we talked about Git. What is a Git? What it's used for? We installed an instance of Git with a cup of tea, on Raspberry Pi running Ubuntu, and the plan was to use Git, that particular instance of it, this week. But again, because of time constraints and because of concerns that the net would go down, I didn't want to repeat a partial of it. So we will do that next week. Oh, that's odd. I'm an idiot, but we must always remember that. So this week, here, I can fix that. We're talking about AWX, which is a set of instruction set extensions found in Intel and AMD CPUs, very modern ones. They have to be at least 10th generation to get AWX or AWX2 in there. And I'll show you that, and we'll talk about what all that means shortly. This week is notable, things in the news, because in 1785, on this day in history, Benjamin Franklin, one of my heroes, just one of my absolute heroes. Should I tell you this? I will. I don't live my every waking moment of this, but I have this fantasy that Benjamin Franklin returns and I am his guide through the 21st century. Here's what this is, and here's background. This is, I'm going to give away my big life secret here. When I write a course or anything instructional, I am writing it to explain it to Ben Franklin, who has no background at all in our technology. Obviously, I got to bring it up to speed a little better than that, but that is the core underlying teaching process in the back of my head. I hang out with Ben Franklin all the time. So if there is a worldwide celebrity singular figure in my life, it's Ben. Well, in 1785, on this very day in history, Ben announces his invention of bifocals. I don't look for Ben things, by the way. I look for the events of the day, and that one happened to pop up. Also on this day in history, 1911, the New York Public Library building was dedicated by the big man who makes me look trim. I love that guy. President William Howard Taft. You will all know the New York Public Library building from Ghostbusters, right? The big lions out front and the lady downstairs. And not in the year 934, in the year 1934, American outlaws Bonnie Parker and Clyde Barrow on this day in history, Bonnie and Clyde as we know them, were killed by a police ambush near Sales, Louisiana. Upcoming shows. Patricia brought it up first. Everybody chimed in on it. I got excited about it, and so we will do a show on it. I've had a show in mind with VMware ESXi, and now that the new owners of VMware, ARM, did ARM get them or did Broadcom got them? Broadcom got them. We talked about some of their actions. They did some things that have ticked people off, and so for whatever their rationale is, they have done something that made the world happy, and that was making VMware Workstation and VMware Fusion Pro, Workstation Pro. They are now free. So we will do a show on VMware or shows and take a look at all of those things. Activities this week. This is just all about Dave's Adventures of the Week. Last Saturday, as you know, a couple of months ago, 6 weeks ago, something like that, I bought a replacement car for the one that a dear relative got totaled. No injuries. So I didn't buy a new car, but I bought a newer car that was very inexpensive and needs cosmetics work. And so on Saturday, I began the cosmetics work by going to a junkyard and buying 4 new alloy wheels to replace the steel police wheels that were on the thing. And my plan was to get them home and then on Sunday or Monday go to a one of these boneyard tire joints and have them zip off the steel wheels and pop on the alloys. And then I said to myself, on Saturday, I said, you know what? I have a compressor and I have an impact wrench and I've got a floor jack. So I went out and swapped out all my tires at 95 degrees. It's not that hard of a job when you've got all the tools, but man, it was just roasty out there. And I came in looking like the fuzzball, sweatball that I am. Then for the law of unintended consequences. This is a cheap car. This is a transportation car because I'm not keeping it. I'm going to fix the cosmetics and dump it off on the relative who mangled my beast and then give me something shiny and new and fun. But I hadn't thought about this. I didn't. The car doesn't have many bells and whistles. But I changed these tires, and then the next day, Sunday, I did a trip down to Micro Center, and the idiot lights on my dash showed low tires. Like all of them were low, and it turns out that all of the old cheap tires had TPMS sensors in them, and now they were out of range, and so they all got picked up as they're empty. Your entire set of wheels are empty, and the new one have TPMS sensors as well. And there's a way to repair them, reset them with the car, the new TPMS sensors with the car reader. But it requires that you pump up the tires to 55 PSI. If you are in Great Britain, that's about 300 kilopascals. That's a lot of pressure in a tire, especially when the tire says max inflation is 44 pounds, about 240 kilopascals. And I said to myself, I am not going to put 55 PSI in these tires. They will explode and injure or kill me. So there's this tool that you can purchase. You buy it from GM, it's $80. But I watched a bunch of videos on it, and they said, oh no, you can get it online for $15, 10 or $15. So I went online, and every place that I looked, they were 99 cents and free shipping. It's about the size of this box, and there's some electronics in there. So I took a chance. I spent my 99 cents. I'm waiting for that thing to come in, and it's really cool. All you got to do is hit the program button and then one by one go to the appropriate wheel and hold this thing by the sensor. How do you know it's the appropriate wheel? Because your car has lights all around it, and one corner of the lights up. That means that's where you go to and hold the little magic box until the horn honks and the light turns off and another light turns on somewhere around the car, and you go to that tire and you do it 4 times. So I'll let you know how that all goes. It's interesting and exciting. But for now, every time I get in the car, it whines about all my tires being flat. So what did I do at Micro Center on Sunday? I did 2 things. Every 3 months, they send me a, you haven't been to the store in a while, Dave. Here's something cheap and free. Come to the store and get it, because we know we can sucker you into buying something while you're there. And they're right. So this is a 128 gig micro SD card. I've got a few of them. And I just collect them. Soon I will only do projects with 128. And then while I was there, I found this on clearance. It is a 2.5G USB 3 dongle. So we did a show on that a few weeks ago. I am ready to begin the transition. And somebody sent me a link for an affordable 2.5G switch. I'm looking at that one, looking at a couple others. It's going to be cool. I ordered, or more accurately pre-ordered, the new official Raspberry Pi M.2 hat from pishop.us, pishop.us. They're supposed to be $12, and all the other places that sell them charge $12. Pishop didn't. So why not pre-order from someplace else? Nobody else was taking pre-orders. So I coughed up the $14, the extra $2 profit they're making. And after shipping and taxes and everything, $23 for this hat. And they say shipping in 2 to 3 weeks. I got my doubts. We'll see. But it works on the PCIe lane on the Raspberry Pi 5. And we talked about this in the news last week. It only supports 2 sizes of M.2 drives, the 2230s, 22 millimeters wide, 30 millimeters deep, and 2242s, 42 millimeter deep. But, I have a pile of those for other projects, so this will be cool. Today, if you're watching this on archive after May 23rd, this won't work for you. But today is the last day of the twice yearly Udemy $10 sale. It means many of their courses are $9.99 and up. But I bought a couple of them. I'm all geared up and working on 2 new certifications, and I will buy probably 1, possibly 2 more courses before the day is out. Oh, we're not there yet. How about we do this? Okay, that's all that stuff. You guys are chatting. Let me see what's going on over here that I am missing. Patricia, as a quote from a wrestler I know very well, says, "I ain't dead yet." I'm looking at our communications with Jason, and he is clearly making forward steps. Good, not raining the last couple of days. It's got to be nice then. You get some nice rains that makes everything else bloom that wasn't already blooming well, and very nice. Oh, I will be glad for you when Micro Center opens there. And there goes your money. Jason, think I'm good on PC. Yep, you built a really nice one, or got and then updated. So that might get more RAM for your gaming piece. Other than that, good for now. You can send you a what then? That darn heart. Wait a minute, I can make that heart go away. I learned. Unclick reactions. There we go. A list. Okay. Up on the top, on the vertical ellipses, the kebab, you can turn on or off reactions and move that heart thing. All right, well, now back to the slideshow then. Because now we'll do tech news of the week. There we go. Images, headshot, transition. All right, so I got 6 news stories of the week. Everybody here was around in the 90s. Some of you were just around in the 90s, but back in the 90s, on a PC, the media player of choice was Winamp. And Winamp has not closed its doors, but they haven't done much development in the last 20 years or so. I actually had set up a project here where I was going to take a generic media player, and there's a Winamp skin for it. Skin. But news this week, the Winamp folks have reawakened the project, and they are open sourcing it. So in a surprise move, the Winamp team announced, why are you doing that? There you go, that they intend to open source their Windows app on September 24th of 2024. They'll do it under a new name, Free Llama, 2 L's, like LLAM. Other applications, Android and iOS, will continue to be proprietary. So the Windows version of Winamp goes open source, but that's it. And it's always been free, so we'll call it FOSS. And I'm not going to read his announcement. That was cool. This was all over the news. So I got to do it too, right? So Big Brother, George Orwell 1984 classic, was supposed to have been the government. And we all know how intrusive that applications and websites and companies can be, from search engines scraping everything that you search and information about you from your computer to your insurance companies who want to put sensors in your car. So Microsoft is taking a moonshot leap on user info snarfing. A new Windows AI feature records everything on your PC every couple of seconds. It's taking screenshots and snapshots so that it can learn about what you do and how you think and be completely helpful in its AI and search references. And I saw Satya Nadella defending this. He says, no. One of the great things about it is, we're Microsoft. We are someone you can trust. Well, I tell you what will happen. Dave's prediction. They will backtrack on this. Oh, no, sorry, we know the public was very upset. We're undoing that. And they will do it little by little anyways, incrementally, until they get to where they are, where they want this thing to be within 2 to 3 years. So, in my never-to-be-humble opinion, this is every reason you need to get away from Windows and move to any other OS. You know I love astrological events. On June 3rd, about 2 weeks from now, not quite 2 weeks, a rare event known as the Parade of Planets will occur. 6 planets of our solar system will align in a straight line. They'll be visible just before sunrise here in the northern hemisphere. They're not all visible to the naked eye, so a good pair of binoculars or a telescope, you'll be able to see all 6 of them. This is really cool, because if you include Earth, that's 7 of the 9 planets all visible at the same time, effectively aligned. Yes, 9 planets. Screw you, Neil deGrasse Tyson. I still support Pluto. Did I say that? Yes, I did. You know my take on settled science. There's no such thing as settled science. And so I'm entitling this little article Unsettled Science. This week is the latest example of unsettled science. There have been dozens of explanations over the last couple of centuries to explain how the stone blocks were moved from the quarry to the various pyramid sites. The Giza Great Pyramid and the Sphinx in Giza, they're those big sites that get all the exciting research and news, along with the collection of other pyramids in the Nile Valley. And every time a new theory comes out, it's settled science. This is it. Oh, we were totally wrong. Everything that was settled science last month, last year, 2 years ago, was completely wrong. And this is what it is. Well, here we go again. So now we have the new, latest explanation. A group of Egyptologists doing some research with ground-penetrating radar and resistology. I know a little bit about that. My family has been heavily involved in resistology for the last couple of years. Resistology is when you make an electrical point somewhere on the Earth, and then you run a wire from there, and it could be miles of wire, with another probe, and you track along and measure differences in resistance and conductivity, and you can get an idea of what's going on underground from those changes in resistance. So between that and the ground-penetrating radar, they found an ancient, now buried and obviously dried, branch of the Nile River that passes near the quarry and through Giza, and through the Nile Valley. And so that is clearly the explanation on how stones and blocks were moved. Called the Aramat branch. And they're couching their words a little more carefully than I am. The Aramat branch played a role in the monument's construction, and that it was simultaneously active and used as a transportation waterway for workmen and building materials, stone, to the pyramid's sites. And no slide for this one, but while reading Egyptological news, there's some kind of find, I don't know what it is yet, in the West Cemetery of the Great Pyramid at Giza. Ground-penetrating radar scans have found an underground L-shaped structure that's 10 by 15 meters. They don't know what it is. They haven't dug. Theories abound, and further research continues. But I do like that stuff. Ha ha! I report this one, news item number 5 out of 6, with mixed joy. You know I've been doing keto for 3 years. It works. Well, I'm plateaued, but I did lose a lot of weight. And I'm not gaining any, so woohoo. But the plan was to change up in the next couple of months, get some more exercise in and stuff like that. But good news. Researchers have announced that keto is killing me and all of the rest of the people who are doing it. What happens, apparently, is on this no-carb diet, as cells age and are normally flushed away from tissues and organs, a keto diet is preventing a certain protein from developing that is responsible for triggering the cleanup mechanism. And so organs are accumulating aging and dead cells that aren't being removed. They said, good news, simple fix. Take a keto break. And they haven't published any guidance on how long you should keto and how long a break. But I'm taking a break. I've created my own, just experimental. So I am now going 3 weeks keto, 1 week regular. I'm going to get regular food again for a week. I'm going to have carbs. Not sugar, but I've come to find sugar is just insanely oversweet for me now after all these years of keto. All right, last slide. Is this the last slide? Did I do a 7? Oh, no, I got 2 slides left. Okay, I'll be really brief with this one. AI-generated music, shifting the landscape of both music and technology industries. The origins of computer-generated music, electronic-generated music, go back to the mid-50s. There was a computer called the ELIAC that a couple of developers used to create some music in 57, and that particular tune is considered the first electronically composed musical score. Well, look, we've all done this. Hollywood has done this. Compose a lyric or a poem. And what we haven't done yet, most of us, is now compose music and then take the third step, put them together. But of course, that's being done. And not surprisingly, opinion on it is not universally the same. So, and of course, the most important people's opinions probably, maybe there's 2. There's probably 2 sets of people to whom this development is important. Listeners. There is a producer up in Canada who's done some research, starting with some observations he did on his kids and his kids' hockey team, that before a game, they would listen to EDM in headphones, electronic dance music, and their performance would be better during games when they did that than before games where they didn't. And so he's continuing actual research on it and having AI-generated EDM to see if now what's different about EDM and other music. So, okay, that's an interesting thing. So there's the listener side of it. And the kids like the music that they're listening to, whatever it is. Industry creators, such as Daryl McDaniels and Joseph Simmons. You guys know those names? DM, Daryl McDaniels, as in DMC, and Run, nickname for Joseph Simmons. So Run DMC and the final member of their group, Jam Master Jay Mizell. They were instrumental, obviously, in the development of early hip-hop and the surrounding counterculture. So they've all weighed in, and you may not be surprised. They don't like it. Don't like AI at all for music creation. So could we find anyone in the industry who does like it? Yes. Producers and managers of groups who suck, who can't write their own music. They're loving this stuff. They're having AI create for them, and then, of course, they auto-tune them. So, but not surprisingly, there's actually a hefty batch of lovers and haters of it. All right, last slide. I mentioned Alpine Linux a couple of shows ago. I've got a show lining up on it. This week, Alpine Linux dropped a new release, Alpine 3.2. This is the first version of, by the way, Alpine Linux has images available for Raspberry Pi. It works on x86, it works on ARM, and now Alpine is available for 64-bit RISC-V processors and platforms. Comes with KDE Plasma 6 desktop, and I'm not going to read all the gory details. So we are definitely doing a show on Alpine, and I'm just going to get my hands on a RISC board. I played with RISC back when it first came out, and I've moved away from it for many years, but I think I'll go back. RISC, Reduced Instruction Set Computer, Generation 5, V, is what we know about open source software, right? It's user community developed and created, and then the sub-branch of it, FOSS, free and open source software. Well, RISC is open source hardware. It's designed by communities. It takes somebody to create the silicon. There's profit in there, but it's interesting stuff. You can get RISC OS, obviously for RISC systems, but RISC OS has been ported for Raspberry Pi, and I have run that. It's really interesting. It's not Linux, it's not Windows, and I would encourage you, if you've got a Raspberry Pi, it's even where it works on fine on 3s and 4s, get hold of an image. All right, where are we at here? Absolutely perfect. See what you guys are talking about, and then we'll get into no risk, no reward. I'll jump right in. Yeah. Okay, well, let me get caught up here on reading and reacting without sharing here. Okay, there we go. Now I'm going to send you a list. So Jason, Winamp brings back memories. I was certainly a Winamp user. Oh, let's get a transition to that. And then we'll do that. Okay, good. Yeah, boo Microsoft indeed. I cannot say I'm surprised. I can say I'm angry. Unsettling science. Pizza. You know what? I love the keto pizza we have with the cauliflower crust, because you can't tell it's a cauliflower crust. It's basically it's really, really finely ground and embedded in probably it's some kind of hard cheese, maybe mozzarella, something like that. But yeah, I need the carbs now, so I'm gonna get me some regular good. I never like thick crust. I like thin crust. But guess what's gonna be on my first pizza, baby? Darn right, pineapple and ham. Give me my Hawaiian pizza. Getting that back. Because pineapple's a no-no on the keto. I'm getting pineapple. My wife sent me a text saying what we're having first. And I think we're going to have to negotiate this. Let me see what she said. Come on. We did a lot of texting. When she's out of town, we text a lot. Well, I lost it. I don't think it was pizza, but that certainly sounds like could, should, would be. Oh well. Pizza. So would Winamp be able to compete with other programs like VLC? Hard to tell yet. We haven't seen their release product. Certainly on the audio side, I would think. I would hope. I don't know. I never played with their video offerings if they had any. I moved from Winamp to an iPod and then to VLC like everybody else. Darn right, pineapple pizza. No risk, no reward. Well, if you don't eat pineapple, I guess SpongeBob will be homeless. You are doing just fine, amigo. All right, well, let's do a little project here. This is a really simple project. I'm doing this one for the educational value of it. We'll call this project, does your Linux host support AVX or AVX2? And there's more newer AVXs out there. And why? Why would I care about that? So let's start with a speedy refresher here. Inside a CPU is what's known as a code book. Its technical term is it's an instruction set. I can tell a CPU how to do something. Line by line of code. But that makes programs really big, especially if it has to do the same thing in this program as it does in that program, as it does in that program. And so back in the early days of CPUs, they said, tell you what, let's make common tasks and associate them with an 8-bit pattern, or later a 16-bit pattern, or later a 32 or 64. So 10000001 might mean do some math. And there's 60 or 70 lines of process code inside the CPU that explains to the CPU, that walks the CPU the steps of a particular mathematical operation. That is an instruction set. Over time, back in the day, there used to be a very simple, basic core instruction set. And then programs started saying, well, man, we're all doing this other thing that's not in the basic instruction set. Wouldn't it be cool if Intel, would you build another instruction set or extend off of the existing instruction set to perform some particular task, like, oh, I don't know, so encrypt data. There you go. Before you save it to the memory, encrypt it. So we're going to put 5,000, 10,000, 20,000 lines of code in a CPU as an as an extension to the code book, to the instruction set, and maybe we'll call it the SSL extensions or the SE3 extensions or whatever. And there are many dozens of extensions that are in modern CPUs right now, and we do those because it makes them much more efficient than integrating all of that stuff and rewriting that into the code of all kinds of different programs in this very repetitive fashion. So we're looking today at a particular set of extensions called AWX. Stands for Advanced Vector Extensions, and it's a set of instruction extensions for x86 architectures. That means processors from Intel and AMD. And without getting into what it actually does, I'm going to get into what programs use it. But there's a lot of things that it does. ARM chips do not support AWX extensions. So if the stuff that we want to do with it, we want to do it on an ARM chip like a Raspberry Pi, all of that code in AWX and AWX2 and AWX128 and AWX256 and AWX512, they keep getting more and more and bigger, stronger and stronger. That will have to be built into program code instead of the ARM CPU. So AWX gives new instructions and CPU features, and its primary job is to improve the efficiencies of CPU processing on large data sets. If I say that phrase to you and rephrase it now, what everyday program are people using that is made up of large data sets? Hopefully you're going to come up with LLMs, large language models. That's a large data set. And the LLM tools that are out there rely on a CPU having AWX support. In fact, if it doesn't, the program simply won't run. It'll crash and burn. It won't load up at all. It may load up, do a test, and say, oh, this thing doesn't support AWX, I'm out, whatever. There's all kinds of enhancements built into AWX. It enhances single instruction, multiple data capabilities. That means I can use one instruction and perform the same operation on multiple data elements in the CPU simultaneously. That's also called parallelism. So AWX is an extension of an old set of vector extensions called SSE, streaming, single instruction, multiple data, multimedia, blah, 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 blah. I'm not going to read that. The 2013 Next set came out, AWX2. Now we've got AWX512. But basically, anything that's LLM these days and many other things are functional with boring old original 2011 AVX. But if you've got AVX2 or AVX512, processing and handling will be that much better. So the question comes to us, am I using a CPU that has AVX support? And there are three ways to find that out. One is to query the CPU directly. Another is to let some other process query the CPU and save the results to a file, and we read the file. Excuse me. And the third one is to simply look through the specs of a CPU and find out, starting with which model did Intel or AMD incorporate AVX, starting with which model did they start incorporating AVX2. And those are out there. They're actually pretty easy to come up with, but it's really, really easy in a Linux system. Kylie's here. Hola, Kylie. It's really easy to do the first two methods. So that's what I'm going to show you in just a second. Before we start that first command and get the sharing going on, see if I miss anybody who's coming in. Jason Holmes. That's all right, Kylie. You haven't missed much. We're just about to do the hands-on portion of La Projecto. So I have an SSH connection to an Intel machine running Linux, and that's what we're looking at right now. I'm looking at my NUC 10 i7 FNH. And what happens in Linux, most Linux distros, is during the boot up process, the Linux operating system polls the CPU and says, there are certain pieces of information that I need to know about you. Please report the following parameters to me, and those parameters will be saved in a file. That file is called CPU info, all lowercase, no extension, and it's stored in the whack proc folder. Let me do this. There we go. So we're clear. Already done here. CD root proc ls CPU star, and there's the file CPU info. Now, if I do a cat on that thing, cat CPU info, that's a lot of junk in there. And all that junk that's in there is repeated for every core in your CPU and every thread of every core. So this is a 4-core CPU, I think. And each core has 2 threads. So everything that I see here, I see twice. So I'm going to use my old friend grep, the filter utility. And instead of using the cat command, I'm going to use the grep command directly. I'm going to say grep -o, and then what I want you to do is find all lines that have an instance of AVX, and don't show me anything else on the other line. That's what those regex expressions mean. Hey, look at that. So it showed up in red, and so here is a thread / core that's running AVX and AVX2, and another. And another. You get the idea. There's going to be about 16 of these in there. So cool. This CPU supports AVX and AVX2. It does not support AVX512, so it's not the hottest programmer out there. But that's cool. Now let's try it with the cat command again. And this time we're going to pump the results through the grep utility. Find me all instances of the lines that you see in cat that have AVX in them. And it left all the lines intact, but at least it kept them in shiny red. So, okay, there's an AVX and there's an AVX2, and that same 16 pops up in here just like it did. So that's two ways. Let me put those two commands in the chat feed so you can copy paste them for your own future use. Make your life easy. All right. Now here's another version of using the grep command in standalone mode. So now I'm going to say grep and always color every instance of AVX. It's actually the same thing as what we just did. We did a cat proc CPU info, grep -I AVX. Now we're doing the same thing, and we're just forcing it. If you were using a utility that didn't show up things in color, now we're forcing color. Now, how about instead of reading some file that got updated that got written during boot up, we poll the CPU directly. I like this one. The command that we're going to use is ls CPU. We know the ls command. That's used for finding files on the disk. There's a lot of other ls utilities, and one of them is ls CPU. And I'm going to run ls CPU. It's not horribly painful. And see where it says flags here? These flags show all of the code books and extensions. So there's an FPU, floating point unit, set of extensions. There's VME. Is there any in here that I know? SSE, that's a secure sockets, and SSE2, that's more secure sockets. All right, but let's take that output this time and run it through, whoops. grep and look for just the AVX instances. So I'll run lscpu, pipe it through grep, and say, just show me anything that's got AVX in it. One line, all of that stuff. Now I could do some more flags on grep here and get rid of all that junk, but that was the one line, it was the flags line, and now we can see the AVX and the AWX2 set of CPU extensions. That's how to check on here. I'll put that in the chat feed as well. No. All right. Let's go back to this nonsense. So, why do we care? And I said the main reason, but there are related reasons, because certain modern programs require AVX and AVX2 or newer support native in the CPU. They don't have that code built into themselves, again, such as the ever-growing in popularity LLM programs. There's plenty of other big data programs, big data set programs that benefit from AVX extensions and AVX2. Cool. There was one other thing I wanted to share here. Where'd it go? Oh. If you've been on the Discord server, I already posted this, but I wanted to share this with everybody because not everybody who watches this on archive is a member of the Discord server. Why not? Join us! Don't make me put that up again. You know what? I think I'll put that up again. Join us on our Discord server if you are not already. We've got cool stuff going on there, like weird things that I post. Marvelous conversations. I had a magnificent conversation late into the night last night with somebody about MySQL versus MariaDB and a lot of other related pieces. Anyways, I had a gig this past Tuesday. It was a really easy gig. All I had to do was bring a computer that has PowerPoint on it, hook it into the facilities projector, load their slideshow up on it, and give them a clicker so that they could click through the slides. Simple stuff. The instruction, this was an FDA approved presentation. The slides cannot be changed once they're approved by FDA unless they go through. You make a change, okay, you got to submit that to FDA, and FDA has to approve the change. It's really weird. The slides were created in Microsoft PowerPoint, and the group for whom I was working said the only way these slides render correctly is if you use the most current iteration of Microsoft PowerPoint, the player. And then they had a list of some number of slides, 7 or 8 of them, that if you don't use the right version, this one won't render correctly, and here's what it shows, and here's what it's supposed to show. So, okay, I got all those instructions, and I have Microsoft PowerPoint, and I didn't want to install it on the computer I was taking. I didn't want to suck up the license on that machine. So I said, well, I'm going to test it on LibreOffice's PowerPoint clone, Impress. So I installed Impress, downloaded the slideshow on it, checked every slide. They all came out absolutely perfect. They all rendered perfectly correctly. And so, holding my breath and with heart beating fast, that's what I used. I went to the event, I fired up Impress, loaded up the slideshow. All they could see was the slide on the projector. I handed them the clicker, it advances to the next slide. I'm the only one who knew that it wasn't Microsoft PowerPoint, besides you and now the entire world who's watching this. But hey, another for the win for LibreOffice. Is that where we're going with that? Because that's where I'm going. All right, back down to the end of this thing. Did that. Okay. So we've got about 3 minutes of show left. I love when the timing works out pretty well. Yes, please join. Thank you, Shia. Shia Moonstone. That's the best, one of the best names, avatar monikers on here. I just love that. Thank you. I got a message from Will Shaw today. He's over in Austin, and I didn't push him to catch the show, but I should have. I'll text him and tell him to catch the archive. Will Shaw, shout out to you if you actually watch this. What's his Discord name? Won't come to me. No way. All right, thoughts, questions, comments? Otherwise, I'll do something unusual. I'll wind up a couple seconds early. So let's do that. I never do that. Hey, thanks for coming in. Next week, I'll have that Git presentation all put back together, and we'll do part 2 of Get Her Done. Get on out of here. I'll have to give it a new title. And I didn't even do any social media announcements for the show today because I thought it was going to be no project. I came up with this project around lunchtime. And simple project that it was, it still took about 3 hours to do notes and slides and all that stuff. Hey, let's close this puppy down. That means we got to do a couple of things like this, and then that, and now we can do this. Hey, everybody, thanks for coming in. It's no show without you. Appreciate your turning up live and on archive. Let's keep this thing growing. It's a lot of fun. I just enjoy the heck out of this. And if you ever stop enjoying it, let me know. We'll close this thing down. I do this because it's fun for me, and what makes it fun is sharing with you all. And you guys are just great. Love your interactions on the shows and your activities over on the Discord server and X and every place else. So with that, I wish you all a great rest of the week. Take care of each other. Take serious steps to stay healthy. And, of course, if at all possible, call or visit your parents. And never forget, technology is great, but the greatest resource are you and I. And with that, I bid you good night. I'll see you on ADRAMADA next Thursday and on the other platforms I'm on. Until then, remember, how you do anything is how you do everything. Eep, op, ork, ah, ah.